Good evening there, everybody. What is happening? Hopefully you all are having a wonderful day today. So when it comes down to it, I thought that I would review this little video that I found very particularly interesting. In this video, of course, is going to be by that of the show I believe called Speak For Yourself. And I believe all in all that this is going to be a debate show with two former NFL players talking in this conversation. Of course, one is known as Marcellus Wiley, and the other one I believe is known as Emmanuel Acho. And basically in this conversation what we're going to be talking about is Mr. Aaron Rodgers. And of course, for those of you all in all that do not know the news, Aaron Rodgers, I believe at the NFL Honor Awards yesterday, ended up winning his 4th MVP in his career, which of course is a spectacular accomplishment. I believe the only other player or quarterback that has more MVPs than that of 4 MVPs in his career was of course the all-time great quarterback that I ended up growing up watching a bit, Mr. Peyton Manning, who of course once upon a time played for not only the Indianapolis Colts, but also that of the Denver Broncos. But anyways, in this video, we're going to be talking about something, in my opinion, that will be a little bit of an interesting conversation. And some of you may wonder why I necessarily talk about Aaron Rodgers a little bit more than some of the other players within the NFL. Well, I tried to talk about some of the more than popular players, or I tried to talk about more of the popular players that may include Tom Brady, that may overall include Aaron Rodgers, Patrick Mahomes, yada, 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 maybe a Josh Allen, some other certain, guys like that. But the reason why I talk about Aaron Rodgers the most of the time compared to anyone else, for those of you, of course, that have watched some of my other videos, especially about boxing, you know that I like to basically address certain narratives that I see that are basically proposed out there. And I don't think that there's any more narratives on any other quarterback or any other player as much as what there usually has been about Mr. Aaron Rodgers. And now that Aaron Rodgers, now that overall he did lose in the divisional round and he lost in the playoffs once again and could not get the monkey off of his back to make that second Super Bowl appearance, I think a certain amount of people are finally starting to see what some of Aaron Rodgers' critiques, including myself and some of the other people have been starting to finally say about Aaron Rodgers, which is that even though he is an all-time great quarterback, in certain regards, I do think that he has been more overrated than what he has been ranked in his proper place. There's a lot of people, of course, that would rank him as a top 5 quarterback of all time. I just don't think that I can do that. And I was having a very good conversation with my friend yesterday, overall, who is a Green Bay Packers fan, Aaron Rodgers fan, and he was saying, well, yeah, Aaron Rodgers, he doesn't come up as big as Joe Montana or Tom Brady, but, maybe he'll be the next Peyton Manning. I don't think that he is the next Peyton Manning. And the reason why I say that is because when I at least seen Peyton Manning and John Elway and certain quarterbacks like that, or Roger Staubach or Johnny Unitas, you at least knew overall that those quarterbacks were going to make multiple championship or Super Bowl appearances. Aaron Rodgers has not even been able to go past one. It just is what it is. That's why Aaron Rodgers, in my opinion, even though I think that he's an all-time great quarterback, I can't necessarily rank him above the Drew Brees, the Dan Marinos, the Steve Youngs, the Russell Wilsons, the Patrick Mahomes, or the Brett Favres. In my opinion, and what I mean by that, is that me saying that every single quarterback that I just mentioned is greater than that of Aaron Rodgers? No. I would say that he is debatably the greatest overall of that ilk. But what I also will say is that I think that Aaron Rodgers, he cannot really be separated from that league. It just is what it is. Right now, at the current moment in time, he cannot be above John Elway. He cannot be above Roger Staubach, Johnny Unitas, and he certainly cannot be above Peyton Manning, overall Tom Brady, and Joe Montana. He just can't be above that ilk. It just is what it is. Why is that overall? Why can he not be above that ilk? Because Aaron Rodgers has proved in the playoffs that he does not play any greater or really any worse than any of those quarterbacks. So it just is what it is. But anyways, Mr. Emmanuel Acho and Mr. Marcellus Wiley, they're going to be begging the question, was this a successful season for Aaron Rodgers because he was able to win the MVP, or is this going to be known as a failure? I'm overall going to be talking about my opinion in this conversation as well. Let's get into it.
49ers. So, Acho, was Aaron Rodgers' season a success?
The Aaron Rodgers season was a success for one person and one person only.
Aaron Rodgers.
Aaron Rodgers. Now, Aaron Rodgers, being what he is at least portrayed to be, the incredibly selfish individual that he is, that's all that matters. It ultimately is irrelevant that Aaron Rodgers was a season with the Chargers. You heard me.
Say it again with your chest.
Aaron Rodgers portraying himself to be the exceedingly selfish individual that he is, that may be all that matters. That his season was a success for him. But was his season a success for the fan base? No. One and done in the playoffs they were. They got to host one home game. Was his season a success for his head coach? Absolutely not. Matt LaFleur, Sean McVay, Mike McDaniel, Kyle Shanahan were all employed by the Washington football team. They were all employed by that Washington staff in 2013, and they have all traveled further in the playoffs this year than Matt LaFleur. So Matt LaFleur's season wasn't a success. Keep in mind what no one will tell you. Matt LaFleur can never be thought of as coach of the year because we only attribute the greatness of the Packers to Aaron Rodgers. Was not a...
I agree with you, sir. And that's why Aaron Rodgers, in my opinion, he has to get also a lot of the blame. And I know a lot of people, they may not necessarily agree with that. But if you're going to basically say that Aaron Rodgers has been the main reason why they have been successful, and they also seem to have a Super Bowl contending team, and you're not giving the coach any of the credit, basically what that means is that Aaron Rodgers is basically in charge of what happens. And that basically he should be your main value piece. So when they don't win games, Aaron Rodgers also has to get a certain amount of the blame. That's why, in my opinion, it's actually very similar to that of a LeBron James. And I had a certain person actually comment on one of my older videos, and they said, oh, well, I can't agree with the comparison because LeBron James, he's won a decent amount more in his sport than what Aaron Rodgers has for his. Oh, there's no doubt about that. If you're talking about in terms of greatness, like in terms of overall who is greater for their sport, it's LeBron James, and there's really no question about it. LeBron James has won 4 MVPs. He's won 4 NBA championships, 4 finals MVPs, first, all NBA team, multiple years. There's no doubt about it. LeBron James, in my opinion, is debatably a top 5 NBA player of all time. Aaron Rodgers, I'm not even quite sure if he would be within my top 35 or 40 NFL players of all time. Now, of course, maybe you can debate that NFL players are ranked a bit differently. But at the end of the day, Aaron Rodgers, even for his position, in my opinion, is definitively not a top 6 quarterback of all time. I don't even think that he's necessarily above Brett Favre, to be quite honest with you. But it is what it is. Now, if you were to put Aaron Rodgers above Brett Favre, because, of course, Brett Favre was not always the greatest decision maker with the football, I wouldn't necessarily have a problem with that. But at the end of the day, when you just talk about peak v. peak value, when you talk about all in all in terms of who was the best at their peak and who was more valuable, they're pretty much both right there. And at least Brett Favre, he was able to make a second Super Bowl appearance. So it is what it is.
Success for the coach. Was not a success for Packers management because Packers management...
But the reason, in my opinion, why the LeBron James comparison is similar, it's not in terms of greatness. It's the way that they're treated by the media and the way that they act. They constantly overall claim that, oh, I'm such a victim, poor me, poor me. I can never get the players that I want. I can never get the right coaching. I can never get this. How am I so great overall with what I'm being able to do right now? But then when the opportunity arises overall for them to finally show up in the big game moments, they almost rarely do. It just is what it is. All right, it just is what it is. It's the same thing with Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers, he always complains about how he doesn't have the team. He basically doesn't overall have the front office, this and this. Then almost everything changes around, and the results are basically the same. So at the end of the day, what's the only common denominator? It's Aaron Rodgers.
Was forced to go and acquire players like Randall Cobb, who they otherwise would not have acquired if not for Aaron Rodgers. Packers management had to do...
I agree, sir. Basically, just like how LeBron James can be the GM overall of whatever team he's on, Aaron Rodgers is pretty much at that point in time in his career right now. And Randall Cobb would have not been on the team. Devontae Adams more than likely stayed on the team because of him. Matt LaFleur is now the coach of that team, who is a very decent coach now because Aaron Rodgers wanted Mike McCarthy off the squad. And the defense overall, I'm sure a certain amount of them stayed because Aaron Rodgers, in his own way, not completely, but in some sort of way, is also his own GM as well. So Aaron Rodgers, he has to have a certain amount of responsibility held upon his shoulders.
With that distraction all year, not a success for management. It was not a success for Packers players because, in totality, Packers players probably answered in excess of 1,000 questions about Aaron Rodgers all season long. Distraction for the Packers players, not a success for Packers players. So Aaron Rodgers' season was totally a success for Aaron Rodgers. He won an individual award. So his season was individually successful. But in totality, not successful at all, big dog. Not for the greater congregation of all.
Oh, that's so wrong to put on Aaron Rodgers. He only has 2 shoulders, man. And he has 4 MVPs. So guess what? If you look at Aaron...
Yeah, you have 4 MVPs when it comes out of it, but what does that really mean? And I know, I was having a very good conversation with my friend yesterday, and, we were having all sorts of conversations and a little bit of a debate yesterday, and he said, oh, well, Aaron Rodgers, he's, in my opinion, closer to Peyton Manning. No, he's not really what Peyton Manning was. Because at least Peyton Manning and John Elway and some of those other quarterbacks that are within my 6 to 3 range, you at least knew that those quarterbacks, yes, they didn't always win their Super Bowls, but they at least made a multitude of Super Bowl appearances. Aaron Rodgers, pretty much at this point in time, he pretty much is just a one-year wonder. I mean, I don't want to say one-year wonder, excuse me, but he's pretty much someone that has had one magic carpet ride to the Super Bowl, and then every other year it's pretty much been a failure. It just is what it is. And I know a lot of people, they don't like to look at it that way, but it just is what it is. At the end of the day, you're a multiple-time MVP winner. So I know that you're already great enough overall to win that of the MVP. Once you start winning a couple of MVPs, that's all great. But at the end of the day, it's like almost if Giannis Antetokounmpo would have won continuously winning MVPs, but he would have never won that championship. Giannis would have never been able to be as great overall as he has talked about now if he would have never been able to win that championship. It just wouldn't, it would have not been possible. Excuse me. It just is what it is. So like I said, when it comes down to it, you have to win championships. It just is what it is. Because if you've already shown that you're great enough to win multiple MVPs, which all that really is just a regular season award when it comes down to it, then at the end of the day, you have to show me that you can get to the next level, which is winning Super Bowls.
Rodgers, he's doing
and continuously.
Way more than...
Or at least making Super Bowl appearances.
Even expected of him, way more than asked of him. Therefore, let's count the wins in his journey for success. Okay, let me say it this way. Let's start this way. Sometimes you can't go forward. You got to go backwards so someone can punch themselves out and land right in front of you. Acho, if this season wasn't a success, then Aaron Rodgers only had one successful season, according to your standard. The 1 year he won.
You can certainly make an argument about that. And I know a lot of people that disagree. They'll say, well, do you just not count the 4 MVPs? I think the 4 MVPs are great. But to me, what the 4 MVPs really do for Aaron Rodgers, they really are what put him above Steve Young and Drew Brees and Patrick Mahomes and Russell Wilson and Dan Marino and Brett Favre. That, in my opinion, if you were to have a conversation with all those quarterbacks with Aaron Rodgers, because that is the category that he is in, because he has 4 MVPs, you can debate that he's above any of those quarterbacks, besides maybe Brett Favre, in my opinion. But, you can't put him above Peyton Manning and Joe Montana and Tom Brady and some other quarterbacks like that. People who not only were multiple-time MVPs, but also were able to go to that next hump, that next level, which is what, the first level of an all-time great, in my opinion, is to be a multiple-time MVP award winner. But the next level is to make multiple Super Bowl appearances or overall, make multiple Super Bowl appearances and also win a couple of them. And Aaron Rodgers has just not shown me that he's on that level.
Super Bowl. Now, he has 4 MVPs, but Aaron Rodgers now is only successful one time when he wins it all, when he wins the Lombardi. Do you agree with that statement? I don't think you want to agree with that statement, because then I will support that statement by saying this, and this ain't right. 10 players, only 10.
And I had, excuse me, like I said, I had a very good conversation with my friend yesterday, and he said, oh, well, I don't really count Super Bowl appearances that much because to me, you got to win them overall for it to count. Well, I think you would have a point if you're talking about someone necessarily like a LeBron James when it comes down to it, to where basically he makes it out of the East almost every single year. And then every single time you make it, you pretty much lose to the West teams, since he pretty much only has a 33% to 40% winning percentage in the finals. That's something that would make sense. Because if you're making the finals or the Super Bowl every single year, but you're not winning it every single year, like the Buffalo Bills of the 90s, I believe, what does that really say about your conference? It basically says that it's weak sauce, that it's whack. It just is what it is. That's pretty much what that means. But if you're someone like a John Elway or maybe a Peyton Manning, that they were actually able to squeeze out a couple of Super Bowl wins here and there, but that they were able to lose, sometimes, to other Super Bowl contenders, maybe overall they just got outperformed here and there when it came down. Now, you still have to put the blame on them to a certain degree. They can't be remembered as great overall as a Michael Jordan or a Tom Brady or a Joe Montana. But, at the end of the day, like I said, when it comes down to it, Aaron Rodgers, he's not even able to make that second Super Bowl appearance. So to me, Super Bowl appearances, they do matter, but they also have to be put into context. And I'm sorry, but Aaron Rodgers, not only can he not even make a second Super Bowl appearance, he cannot even have overall more than one NFC championship in Lambeau Field. Why is that? If you're really supposed to be an actual, if you're really overall allegedly living up to those 4 MVPs, why is that overall stat on your record? You should have multiple time NFC championships in Lambeau Field. That's why I say it's great that you won 4 MVPs, but all the MVP, in my opinion, all it is a regular season award. It's still a great award to win. But what does it really mean all in all if, overall your team gets eliminated in the first, second, or third round? It don't mean shit. I'm sorry, it just is what it is. So in my opinion, and a lot of people are going to disagree, this season for Aaron Rodgers was a failure.
10 players in history.
Now, certain people may ask, well, the year that Tom Brady won the MVP over the Philadelphia Eagles, excuse me, do you think that season overall was a failure? You can argue that because Tom Brady had proven that he had already been able to win the award multiple times, and on top of that, he already was a multiple-time Super Bowl champion. My standards are this. If your team, all in all, was expected to possibly be in the Super Bowl, and the team did not make it there, it's a failure.
Have won the MVP and Super Bowl in the same season, and none since 1999. Wait a minute, Marcellus, you trying to tell me?
Let me put it like this. If Matthew Stafford and the LA Rams, if they lost to the Cincinnati Bengals in the Super Bowl, would people be arguing this the same way? Excuse me, would people be arguing that Matthew Stafford, his season isn't a failure when it comes down to it because, he was able to make the Super Bowl, his first year? Yeah, that's cool at the end of the day, but are you favored to win against the Cincinnati Bengals or are you not? And it's the same thing with Aaron Rodgers. Were you favored or were you not favored to beat the 49ers? You could not even make the NFC Championship. And with Aaron Rodgers, when it comes down to it, he sometimes is not even going to beat the team that sometimes can't even make the NFC Championship. That's why when it comes to Aaron Rodgers, even though I have a great amount of respect for him when it comes down to it, he cannot be claimed along with Peyton Manning or John Elway, at least not as of yet. I think if he were to win another Super Bowl, I would have him right there with John Elway, but he can never be on that Peyton Manning level, never.
Was this Super Bowl 56? And we know that the MVP ain't winning this Super Bowl, so 10?
And, my friend asked me yesterday, he said, so basically you just don't count the 4 MVPs. Well, it's not that I don't count the 4 MVPs, but if we're comparing Aaron Rodgers to Peyton Manning, Joe Montana, or Tom Brady, or maybe John Unitas or John Elway or Roger Staubach, what the hell does it really mean? Because at the end of the day, yeah, you have 4 MVPs, but basically what that means, all that says about you is that you had 4 terrific, regular seasons. But then basically in the postseason, let me also state this. None of the years overall that Aaron Rodgers won the MVP, he didn't win the Super Bowl in any of those years. It just is what it is. Now, maybe you don't think that that's always the greatest point because, the last time an MVP actually won the Super Bowl has been, almost 20 years now, I believe, when it comes down to it. But at the end of the day, at least when it comes to Peyton Manning and Tom Brady, you know that they can at least make multiple Super Bowl appearances and win multiple Super Bowls. Aaron Rodgers can't even make a second one. That's why when, people compare him to top 5, no, he's not top 5 and it's not even close. That's why you have to compare him to Steve Young. You have to compare him to Steve Young, Russell Wilson, Patrick Mahomes, Drew Brees, Dan Marino. Because those are guys that either had one Super Bowl appearance or a couple of Super Bowl appearances or just one Super Bowl win. Maybe a couple of MVPs or Offensive Player of the Years. And all their playoff performances, it kind of was the same. They were on that same level when it came down to it. That's why, all in all, they have to be compared on that similar level. Because Aaron Rodgers in the playoffs, he's never been a Peyton Manning. He's never been a Tom Brady. He's never overall been a Joe Montana. He's never been those guys. In the playoffs, when you combine him regular season and the playoffs, he's a Steve Young. He's a Drew Brees. Overall, he's those guys. That's what he is. All right, because in the playoffs, he does not show up like a Peyton Manning or like a John Elway or like a Tom Brady or a Joe Montana did. He shows up like a Russell Wilson or a Steve Young or a Patrick Mahomes or a Drew Brees or a Dan Marino. That's why he has to be compared to that level.
Have won it, and 46 have not. And of the 56 MVPs, 46 were unsuccessful that season. So we can't go that far. We ain't going to do that up here. Come on, big dog. What were you doing on third?
Yeah, you actually can go that far. Because Marcellus Wiley, it's not the fact that Aaron Rodgers just won the MVP and did not win the Super Bowl. It would be different if maybe you were a Tom Brady and you were already a 6-time Super Bowl champion or a 5-time Super Bowl champion, like when he lost to the Philadelphia Eagles. But Aaron Rodgers, at the end of the day, the way that you were talked about and with how much value that you allegedly have, you're supposed to overall make more than just one Super Bowl appearance. It just is what it is.
See, I know what I was doing. I wasn't sitting in my hotel room, putting on a tuxedo, waiting for the limousine to show up. They still got limos. Taking me to NFL honors, sitting there. Oh, I am Aaron Rodgers. And sitting there in a room representing the NFL of 1,900 players. And of 1,900 players, they call out my name and say, I am the best player again. To me, that is deemed successful.
Right, but, what does it really say? You won the MVP. Like I said, the MVP is a regular season award. Let me also put it this way. Stephen Curry won a very excellent MVP. He won the unanimous MVP back in that 2015-2016 season, but he ended up losing the NBA Finals because he choked a 3-1 lead. Would you say that, for those of you that maybe defend Marcellus Wiley's argument, would you say all in all that Stephen Curry's season was a complete success? No, of course not. It just is what it is.
Now,
You can say that it's somewhat successful, but at the end of the day, you can never overall put the tag on it as completely successful. It's just not possible.
anyone else
Like I said, it would be different if the Green Bay Packers were not expected to be Super Bowl contenders this season, but by the end of the playoffs, they were expected not only to do very well in the NFC, they were expected to possibly make it out of the NFC. So like I said, when it comes down to it, no, these standards, they have to be put on Aaron Rodgers' shoulders.
says it's not successful is looking at it differently, and they're looking at it out of context. Aaron Rodgers, dog, what else could he do? What else could they do is a different.
What else could they do? What else could he do? How about lead your team to victory? How about lead your team to victory over a 49ers team that was probably a massive underdog in Lambeau Field? How about lead your team to victory? You're the quarterback. You're supposed to be, according to a lot of people, debatably a top 5 quarterback of all time. Why can you not lead your team to victory? Why did you not get any touchdowns whatsoever? No, Aaron Rodgers, listen, great quarterback, but he's not above Steve Young. He's not above the Drew Brees. He's not above, he's right there with those guys. He is in that same category. Now, would I rank him above those guys, sadly? Yes, but he's not super duper above those guys. He's not in a completely different category. He's not. It is what it is.
For conversation. But, dog, if I'm the best player.
Aaron Rodgers, in my opinion, what I would really compare him to is that of a Mike Tyson. Because, of course, I talk a lot about boxing, and I think that this actually would be a very good comparison. Because at the end of the day, Mike Tyson was always looked at as this larger-than-life figure. And people always talked about him how, he was the greatest heavyweight that I've ever seen. He was always the most talented that I've ever seen. He had the speed, he had the strength, he had this, he had that, he had the fundamentals. But then every single time Mike Tyson stepped up in class, he pretty much got beat. It's the same thing with Aaron Rodgers. He does have some very great moments in his career, but when you actually take a look at the majority of the moments in his career, oftentimes more than not, it leaves something to be desired.
In the entire NFL, why are you putting all this on my shoulder?
I love it. Ultimately, this question's subjective. It depends on how we define success.
No, it ain't. It's objective. How you define success?
I define success for this Packers as going to the.
I define success overall basically to where whatever your standards are, that you live up to those standards. And that if you're a team all in all that is expected to make the Super Bowl, then guess what? You make the Super Bowl. And that was the standards, at least for the Green Bay Packers. Actually, the standards for them this year were to win the Super Bowl. So this season, I don't care what anyone says, it was a failure for Aaron Rodgers. It is what it is. Let me say it again. It was a failure. It is what it is.
Super Bowl.
Because you cannot even beat the team that lost in the NFC Championship. So what does that really say about you?
And I think that's how the Packers define.
I didn't see Packers anywhere in this question.
Aaron Rodgers leads and commands the Packers. Aaron Rodgers is the team captain of the Packers. Aaron Rodgers is individually the MVP, not only of the NFL, but Aaron Rodgers is the MVP of the Packers. So Aaron Rodgers takes the Packers wherever they would like to go.
I agree. And if he's going to get the same amount of credit overall that many people overall always try to give him, at the end of the day, you have to live up to those expectations. It just is what it is. So I agree with you, Wacho. To be honest with you, you're smoking Marcellus Wiley in this argument. And I don't usually tend to agree with Emmanuel Acho, but he's on fire.
I define success for Aaron Rodgers as I define success for this Packers football team.
Okay.
And at the end of the day, because Marcellus Wiley, he may say, oh, well, we're not going to put all that on Aaron Rodgers and blah, blah, blah. Well, listen, it would be different, in my opinion, if Aaron Rodgers was a part of an individual sport. And if he was in boxing and tennis necessarily when it comes down to it, then listen, what I'll say is this. No, you can't necessarily put all of it on his shoulders. But at the end of the day, people, they basically make that excuse for their favorite players. Oh, well, it's a team game. The team has to show up. Well, Aaron Rodgers repeatedly, especially in big game situations, has not shown up. So what does that say about Aaron Rodgers? And you play a team game. So what that means is that you not only have to be valuable for yourself, but you have to be valuable for the whole entire team. It isn't just tennis or boxing, where basically you just have to show up overall for yourself. You also have to show up for the whole entire team. So that's why a lot of people, they'll take a look at Aaron Rodgers' stats and they'll say, oh, well, he didn't throw a lot of interceptions. He didn't do this. He didn't do that. Yeah, but what you also notice about Aaron Rodgers a lot of the times is that he doesn't capitalize nearly as well as some of the other all-time great quarterbacks in former history.
Consecutive 13-3 seasons where you fell short in NFC championship games. It was now time for you to get over the hump. The hump was the NFC championship game. Aaron Rodgers, if we want to call success winning an individual award, then of course it was successful. But for me, Sal, if you've already won said individual award 3 times, then why don't you do something you've done more infrequently?
I agree with you, sir. I agree with you. That's exactly what I said earlier. Ding, ding, ding. You got it right. You're on a roll, Acho. You're killing them. Keep it up with the facts. If you're already a multiple-time MVP award winner, you've already proved to me that you can win the MVP. So winning the MVP again, in my opinion, even though, of course, it's something special, it, in my opinion, is not going to put you any higher on my list because what you have to prove to me is that you overall can be a multiple-time Super Bowl champion. And he's not able to do that. It is what it is. Aaron Rodgers has already proved that he can win the MVP, that he can make overall 1 Super Bowl. But can you do it again? You know, that's why Aaron Rodgers, even after this MVP, can he move up any higher on my list? No, he cannot. Because he didn't prove anything overall this season that he can do something overall that he already has not been able to do.
I think that is how I would define success. But I'm looking at it from the math perspective. Aaron Rodgers had a successful season that impacted 1 individual.
Yeah.
He did not have a successful season that would have impacted a multitude of millions of individuals.
Yeah.
I'd rather...
I agree with you, sir.
Not even I. Both Aaron Rodgers and anybody who is a fan or has an affinity for the Packers would rather Aaron Rodgers win Super Bowl MVP than NFL MVP. Aaron Rodgers would tell you...
I agree with you. Now, does that mean necessarily always saying that... excuse me. Does that always mean necessarily saying that I think that Super Bowl MVP or NBA Finals MVP is greater than that overall of a regular season MVP? No, I wouldn't say that. But what I will say is this. If you've already proven to me that you can win multiple MVPs, but you don't have a Finals MVP or overall Super Bowl MVP, then what you should try to strive for is that Super Bowl or overall, that NBA Finals MVP. As well as, maybe another regular season MVP. But if you're already a multiple-time MVP winner, then we don't need to see you win another MVP. We need to see you win consistent championships. Because that's what the all-time great players have done. Not only win consistent MVPs, but win consistent championships. And that's why Aaron Rodgers cannot be compared on that level.
That, along with everybody associated with the Green Bay Packers. That would be a success. This clearly is a degree of success, but this is success for 1, not success for millions.
So stop winning that same award and go get the big one, right?
Or both.
Yeah, or both, right? So why you keep winning Emmys? When you gonna bring the big one home? When you gonna get us an Emmy first? When you gonna think about something other than yourself? Oh, it works for Acho. Successful Acho. Acho Enterprises. It works for you, but it can't work for Aaron Rodgers.
I got my co-producer an Emmy as well, thank you.
That ain't me.
I am Devontae Adams for that thing. You better give me something other. I want the number.
But that's the thing also as well, Mr. Aaron Rodgers, excuse me. Like I said, let me bring up overall the Super Bowl MVP and the MVP argument. It's almost kind of like comparing Stephen Curry and Kevin Durant. Let me talk about this. Now, if you want to talk about this, Stephen Curry, he doesn't have any NBA Finals MVPs. Kevin Durant actually has 2 NBA Finals MVPs. Overall, Stephen Curry, though, has 2 regular, NBA MVPs. Now, I would say that his NBA MVPs, in my opinion, are more valuable than Kevin Durant's NBA Finals MVPs, at least debatably, because Stephen Curry, both of those seasons, he was able to take his team to the NBA Finals, and he was able to win one. And that's why, in my opinion, when you talk about Stephen Curry versus Kevin Durant, even though it's pretty much a coin toss, in my opinion, and do I think that Kevin Durant can do things with the basketball that maybe Stephen Curry cannot do? You can argue that. But at the end of the day, in my opinion, Stephen Curry has to be above Kevin Durant in terms of greatness because he's just more valuable. Because Stephen Curry was able to lead his team to 2 NBA Finals appearances and win an NBA Finals and win 2 MVPs before Kevin Durant even got there. Because Kevin Durant has never won anything without Stephen Curry. Those are just the facts. It just is what it is. That's why, in my opinion, Stephen Curry is above that of a Kevin Durant. But it's close. It's close.
One rated show on all of television.
But like I said, once you're a multiple-time MVP award winner, I don't need to see you win any more MVPs. It just is what it is. It doesn't mean that it's not great to win those other MVPs, but what does it mean all in all if you win those MVPs, but you don't win shit in your career or win anything else in your career? What does that really mean? That just means overall that, you had the best record during the regular season, that you're extraordinary during the regular season, but then overall, once you hit the postseason, that you fall utterly short. So I guess in a way, maybe Aaron Rodgers does have something similar with Peyton Manning, except Aaron Rodgers, he's pretty much a much smaller version of Peyton Manning.
Forget the NFL.
Because even Peyton Manning overall made multiple Super Bowl appearances. Aaron Rodgers cannot even make a second Super Bowl appearance. It is what it is. Now, I had a friend overall that tried to make this point, the Green Bay Packers fan, and he said, oh, well, I don't really count Super Bowl appearances. Like I said, if it's a LeBron James type of thing, then you can make that point. But Peyton Manning, when it comes down to it, maybe at least you can argue because he was able to squeak out a couple Super Bowl wins that maybe he just got overall outperformed, or maybe he did face all-time great teams. Now, you still have to put the blame on him, in my opinion. But at the end of the day, in my opinion, Super Bowl appearances do matter. And the fact that Aaron Rodgers only has not only one Super Bowl appearance, but only one Lambeau Field NFC Championship game, that tells me that you're nowhere near as valuable as what a lot of people say you are. It just is what it is. Like my friend tried to make this point, he said, oh, well, so John Elway has 5 Super Bowl appearances, and, Joe Montana, he has 4, so you must have John Elway above him. It would be different. You would have an argument, and I told this to him, that you would have an argument if John Elway if Joe Montana, if he only was like a 1 or 2 time Super Bowl champion. But Joe Montana, they're comparable. Not only are they comparable, but Joe Montana has to be ahead of him because Joe Montana went overall to 4 Super Bowl appearances. He won every single one of those, so he's a 4-time Super Bowl champion and a multiple-time MVP, multiple-time Super Bowl MVP. While John Elway, yes, he went to 5 Super Bowls, but he only won 2 of them. So that's why Joe Montana has to be above him. Aaron Rodgers, however, he can't even make a second Super Bowl appearance. So that's the problem there. So you have to learn how to compare it. You can't necessarily say that, you just can't say it like that.
And I want my Emmy, if you want to.
Like, let me state this. This is overall where it comes similar, because then the Super Bowl appearances, because that's why Aaron Rodgers, he can't be compared to even a John Elway or Peyton Manning. He can't be compared to their class because he cannot even make a second Super Bowl appearance when it comes down to it, at the end of the day, or win a second Super Bowl. That's why he cannot be in their league. It just is what it is. That's why he's in the Drew Brees, Brett Favre, overall Steve Young category. Because you have showed me all in all that, yeah, during the regular season, you might be greater than any of those quarterbacks that I've ever seen. But in the postseason, you play exactly like them. So how can I really put you above their category when you haven't proved to me that in the postseason that you play better than them?
All this burden on Aaron Rodgers.
Or at least bigger than them.
Aaron Rodgers is doing the Acho plan, and you mad at Aaron Rodgers for doing it. Better than Acho. That's all you are. You guys got to understand, it's okay. Y-O-U spells you. Remember, it's singular and it's plural. I could be saying you, Acho, and I could be saying you, S-F-Y. But guess what? I could be saying you, Aaron Rodgers. I could be saying you, Green Bay Packers. But he can't carry the whole damn team. Just like Tom Brady when he won it.
Right, but he's not carrying the whole damn team. Like I said, it depends on what the expectations were. That's why I agree with Emmanuel Acho so much in this argument. He was on fire. He's torching your ass, Marcel. It says no offense against you, but you're wrong. It is what it is. The team's expectations this season were to win the Super Bowl, and they failed. All right? It is what it is. If you're a team that is expected to win the NBA championship or the World Series or the NFL Super Bowl, if you're expected to go within those expectations and you don't win them, your season is a failure. I'm sorry.
MVP 2017.
I don't care what award you win.
Did he win the Super Bowl? No. Successful season? You think? He's the GOAT. Matt Ryan. Remember Matt Ryan? He lost the Super Bowl, but he won MVP. Successful season? You going down to Atlanta looking at Matt Ryan that year to my dog, you ain't do nothing. You're the one.
Right, but the reason why that season was successful for Matt Ryan is because Matt Ryan has never accomplished shit in his career. So even though he lost the Super Bowl, yeah, it's a success overall for Matt Ryan because Matt Ryan compared to Aaron Rodgers is a loser. So the fact that you're even bringing up Matt Ryan in the conversation, all in all that, in my opinion, that your argument is pretty much null and void. It is what it is. Because we can't compare Aaron Rodgers to Matt Ryan. The fact that you just compared him to Matt Ryan tells me that, overall in all, that Aaron Rodgers at this season somewhat was a failure.
He walks up to Aaron Rodgers after he gets off the stage at NFL Honors with your Achoists and gonna be looking at him like, I wish you would be proud of that. You can't do that to the dog. Here's why I have to. Come on. Because for me, it's all about what bar have you set for yourself. I'm going to say something that's going to get the audience in an uproar here.
I agree with you, Acho. Thank you, sir. Basically, what did I just say? It's about the bar that you set for yourself and the standards that you have. Excuse me. We can compare Aaron Rodgers, who's a Super Bowl champion and a multiple-time MVP, to someone like a Matt Ryan. That just doesn't make any sense. If your team is expected to win the Super Bowl, and the Atlanta Falcons that season, they were not even expected to make the Super Bowl. So, yeah, you can say that someone like Matt Ryan, who probably isn't going to make the Hall of Fame in my opinion, you can say that that season overall was a success for him. But if you're someone like an Aaron Rodgers that is already a multiple-time MVP winner, and you have a team that has possible Super Bowl expectations, and you don't get there, yes, the season has to be counted as a failure.
Remember, we said Simone Biles had an unsuccessful Olympic Games this year.
Take me where you're going first. Let me see the end.
Remember, we said that. Now, Simone Biles still medaled at the Olympic Games. It's greater than 99.9999% of the world.
99.
Not country, exactly. Percent of the world.
See,
But we said Simone Biles was unsuccessful at the Olympic Games. Why? Because Simone Biles was the greatest of all time. Simone Biles was unsuccessful at the Olympic Games, although she medaled, and I believe several medals, because Simone Biles set a standard of gold, 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 gold. Not only a standard of individual gold, Simone Biles set a standard of collective team gold. Because when Simone Biles is there in the squad...
I agree, sir. And at the end of the day, Aaron Rodgers is in a team game. So what does that mean? Your job is not only to impact yourself individually, but your job also is to impact the team. So what you have to do is that you have to overall lead a team to a championship. If we weren't doing that, then Russell Westbrook would be one of the top NBA players of all time. You know what I mean? Because Russell Westbrook, when you talk about just the individual accomplishments, yeah, sure, he looks really hot in the regular season. But then in the postseason, what does he do? He does nothing. Now, do I think that Aaron Rodgers, of course, is greater than that of a Russell Westbrook? Of course. But overall, I'm just trying to make a point.
shows up.
My point being is this, like I said, my friend said, oh, well, you don't count the 4 regular season MVPs, you just ignore it. It's not that I completely ignore it, but how can I really call you greater than that of a Drew Brees or someone all in all like Steve Young, where basically in the playoffs, you pretty much played just like them. So it is what it is. Now, in terms of talent, in terms of throwing ability, in terms of what they can do, do I think all in all that Aaron Rodgers is above them? Yeah, sure, you can make a debate about that, but what does it really mean that, in terms of the playoffs, if you don't perform as good as them, it means jack shit. It just is what it is.
Gold. But this year, the team did not take home the gold that Simone Biles was a part of. This year, Simone Biles individually did not take home nearly the golds that she usually takes home, and that was deemed a failure. Now, if you or I were to go compete at the Olympics and were gymnasts or any event and we take home a bronze, huge success.
I agree, sir. I agree. You're making points. You're speaking facts, Acho. You're on fire. Keep speaking them facts.
Because our bar
Very intelligent argument by Emmanuel Acho. I love the argument that he's using.
is lower. When Matt Ryan takes home an NFL MVP, that's a successful season for Matt Ryan.
I agree.
His bar is lower.
But anyways, that overall is pretty much the whole entire video. I just thought that was very particularly interesting because I pretty much agreed with almost everything that Emmanuel Acho says. But at the end of the day, if you're asking me, do I think that this season was a failure for Aaron Rodgers, even though he won the MVP? Absolutely, no doubt about it in my mind. Because your team was supposed to be a Super Bowl contender, and you could not even make it to the NFC Championship. You did not even beat the team that lost in the NFC Championship. So, yeah, you won the MVP, but what does that really say? That you just were the best player during the regular season. So MVPs, in my opinion, they're great to a degree. Don't get me wrong. That means that you are a transcendent player if you can win one. But can I put you in the same league with Peyton Manning or Tom Brady or Joe Montana or John Elway or Johnny Unitas or Roger Staubach, in my opinion, because you just won 4 MVPs? Not if you don't win a second Super Bowl. It just is what it is. And Aaron Rodgers, in my opinion, if he's ever even going to be close to that conversation, he at least has to make a second Super Bowl. It is what it is. That's why, in my opinion, he's not even above Brett Favre. But it is what it is. Anyways, that's all about it for today. Thank you so much for watching. I'll talk to you all later.